Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more.
We are live, baby. Let's go. I guess we kind of didn't have any tech issues, which has been like a thing for me over the past like month. It's this company purchased the company that I've been using, which is this, and they're trying to force us to use something else. And I don't know, man. It's a bunch of fucking politics, and it's a pain in the ass. But this is the Drink O'Clock Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Valencius, and I have the absolute pleasure of having with me David Deighton. Did I say that correct?
My wife calls me, that's her last name. I call myself Deighton.
There you go. Perfect.
And it's her last name. I use her last name.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. What's her last name?
Her name is, well, she said Dayton. I say Dayton.
Dayton. Now, David, you're the artist and founder of Triptych Dialogue, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And somebody that can pronounce triptych. You know, I have people that go triptych. I mean,
you gotta sound it out.
Triptych.
You know, you gotta sound it out a little bit. It's a really cool way. Like, I love it. It's like your style is fucking great, man. So I'm happy to have you on the show. But look, let's start from the beginning here before we really kind of dig into the work that you're doing and everything that's going on with Triptych. Talk to me about growing up, man. Where'd you grow up? What was your life like? What kind of got you? Like, I'm a creative myself, and I know when you're talking creatives, we all kind of have our own things. And what got you into the world?
Wait,
of
you're
arts?
creative. You're doing a podcast. Are you doing more than that?
Well, I do everything for the podcast. So I design the YouTube thumbnails. Yeah. I design the website. It's a one-man show over here. So
that's art right there. And it brings people together. You got a public. There's all the creation aspect. To me, I put that definitely in the art category.
With AI, it's helped. With at least in terms of helping me with ideas for what the hell I'm gonna do, because you might think of an idea, AI kind of gives you a 10, and you're like, oh, I kind of like that, and then the way I think, I roll with my thoughts on that one specific idea, and I try not to over abuse the AI aspect because it makes it ingenuine,
It's good to bring it out, put it out there in the open. I like that.
Because sometimes when you're a creative, you think like you have, and maybe this is just me having ADHD. I don't know. I'll have a million thoughts about things, and then if I use the AI, it'll help me kind of hone in exactly on what I want to go for, and then I'm like, all right, I can do it.
I kind of get it. And there's like some book that just came out or something. I want to know what it's about. I'll put it through. See if I want to know more about it or not.
Yeah. Hey, it's good with crunching numbers and all that other shit. And I've had it, you could create some really good spreadsheets for you.
And sometimes just tell you an outright lie, but say it with a straight face. It's pretty amazing.
It is that, and sometimes the numbers aren't correct either. And you got to kind of like, no, the 1 + 1 is not 5, bro. That's not how this works.
With a straight face. That's amazing. So about myself, I was born in the U.S. I was raised in France. I've been always between the two countries. I'm a product of both, of Europe and the U.S. And there must be cultural stuff I miss on both sides. Like, at a Super Bowl game, I'm kind of lost at what's going on, and and I only go back to France one or twice a year, so I might be missing some cultural things there. Used to be a gallery owner. Dealt with antiquarian, old, like 500-year-old manuscripts and old engravings and drawings, all the way to modern art and abstract contemporary stuff, in which I'd put my own artwork in there, artwork on paper. And for about close to 10 years now. I've been doing
Wow.
different art projects that are not with a gallery, which are, fighting for democratic values, getting people to talk to one another on sensitive subjects like politics without punching each other, and art installations and tons of stuff. I don't know. I'm making a
Hey,
website right now, and it's amazing how many projects I got going on. It's nuts. It's like, oh, I have 12 boxes of 12 different things going on.
yeah, I mean, hey, look, you're when making your own website is tough, man, because you're trying to figure out. It's like your first impression of yourself to whoever's online, right? And
It's messed
um,
up.
yeah, yeah, and it's like you want it to capture. People don't have attention spans anymore, right? So you got to have it. Yeah, you got to have it so it captures that person's attention enough to want to look for more. And that is the hardest part, is getting people to stay and find out more about you and what you're doing.
That's really good. I'm going to put dick pics on mine.
Hey, man, if you got it,
That'll
flaunt it.
do
That's
it.
what I say.
No, that should do it right there.
I mean,
Okay.
if it's mine, people are going to be gone in like less than a second. So it's
Yeah,
not
but
going to last real long.
you'd have a
on mine.
special crew. You'd have a special crew.
I'm like, these same 3 people keep coming back to my
Right.
website. I don't know why. Now, Triptych. Triptych means something that's going to traditionally has 3 panels,
Oh,
right?
good job. Yeah, you looked it
Which
up.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was until I Googled it, before meeting
fair
you
enough.
here. But in spite of that, why Triptych Dialogue? And in fact, are you bringing 3 elements together when you're
Yeah.
doing all of this artwork?
Yeah, but it's a lot more basic than that. It's turned into like the panels talking to one another in a sense. But I was several years ago. I'm at a museum in London, at the Victoria and Albert Museum. It's got a lot of cool stuff, and I'm with my daughter. I don't know, she's like 5 or something. And boom, there's a triptych. It's a religious panel from the 13th. This one's from the 14th century, and it has all this. It's like a comic, It has all these different imagery of hell and of heaven, and it has a real story going for it. However, half of the panels were missing, and they've been
Ah,
worn away with time. It's not like the centerpiece of the museum. It's really worn out. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's a lot of the narratives and stories of our lives. We have what we present, and then there's what we hide, and actually everything of our subconscious is not even there, that can be filled in any way that we're not even conscious of, and that applies a lot in our conversations as well. All that dynamic of those 3 things are happening. So I was like, wow, that's it. There's this like dialogue between the 3 panels, yeah, and that's very much what happens in our own everyday lives. And I wanted to bring that type of element to what happens in a conversation with a stranger, right? Somebody you just spontaneously meet. And then how do you deal, like, okay, religion, we're not supposed to talk in the US about politics or religion with people that we may disagree with, right? With strangers. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. Let's talk about politics. And where do I do that? Where do I do that? So that all that came together really in front of that one piece, like in Epiphany, when you go, aha, wow, that's it. That
yeah.
happened there. That happened there. I was just looking at some of those pictures the other day for the website I'm making. And like, wow, that's what I was looking at. That's what really got me going for all these these last 6 years, actually, on this one particular project. Started from seeing that particular piece of artwork. Yeah.
That's cool when it comes, like, when you really think about it from a human perspective, right? And art, it can really fuck you up. Like, one second you're looking at it, the next second your brain's like, poof, and
Yeah, and
sometimes
you
you don't know
gotta do
why.
this, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
oh, it's in front of a religious panel too. It's like, oh, this is divine intervention. What's going on here? Yeah. So
So I mean,
that's what happened.
so
Mm.
France has got to be loaded with amazing art and architecture, and just I'm
Mm.
obsessed with that old school. When I was in college, one of my favorite classes was my Western European class, and
Yeah.
that's where and you just learned a lot about, the art, the Black Plague, and all of the Renaissance and all that stuff. And I was fascinated with just the sheer culture change that we had, going from the Dark Ages into Renaissance, and just the creation of a lot of that amazing artwork.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't, there's all that going on, but there's tons of stuff going on here. Like, I take it like you're making a podcast. That's art, right? To me, actually, to me, everything is art. There's no distinction between politics and art, and everything that we do with intention, that's art. And it's the expression of intention in all these different means. So when I'm so I see art everywhere here in the U.S. too, but underneath the lens, my personal lens of looking at it. But yeah, the history, on the other hand, I got to look in a different dimension. I live in the Southwest, and there's to me there's tons of history of Native American. I see the pot shards, the cliff dwellings, the religious complex in Chaco Historical Park with standing buildings, 400 rooms, several stories high, freestanding, all this stuff. And there's this, but it's kind of like, in a sense, it's broken in Anglo culture, like with like, oh, that's native culture, but it's not. I live in New Mexico, and it's not separate. It's very much permanent, permeates everything here. There's no separation. It has, and that to me is European in a sense. It has different cultures with different perspectives of things, a little bit in conflict historically, that are living side by side. And it happens to me more living here in New Mexico than, for example, living in a place that has that's car dominated, with a lot of subdivisions and everything, and people live behind walls, like of their subdivision or inside of their car, in barrios versus whatever. Everything's there's more division.
Yeah.
I find Europe has more of a the cultural mesh is more interwoven with all with the people from lots of different European countries, the new arrivals of migrants that are living there, the music, everything. It's like living in a big city, but everywhere, even in the countryside, And I do like that. I'll be going back in a few weeks, and I'll get back in that part of me.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the crazy thing that I heard, and maybe you
Go
can
for it.
attest to this, is the food, because they've
Ah.
outlawed so many things over there
Oh,
that the
man, yes,
food
that's another
is,
thing.
you could eat whatever you want out there, and you wouldn't gain the same amount of weight than you would here. If I had some people that they told me that they were out there for 3-4 weeks, they thought they were going to come home and they'd gain 10 pounds because they were eating pasta and breads and stuff, and they lost 5 pounds. And like, how the hell did that happen?
Because they were walking, man. That's it.
Yeah.
I know I'll be walking all over the place. I'll be going, there's a big art show every 2 years in Venice for this Biennale. It's full of like abstract contemporary art. And it's like the biggest show on earth like this. And it's all over Venice. And it happens every 2 years. And there's no cars. So I'm going to be walking tons, but I'm going to eat well. And yeah, sure. I don't have to worry about it, but here I'll be eating tortillas in the U.S.
Yeah, here I'm in
to
Philly.
wherever I'm going. You're in
I'm
Philly?
in Philly, so I'm going to be eating cheesesteaks.
There we go. That's
our
not
food's
at all.
not going to be. Yeah, our food here is gonna clog some arteries. My boss was just out there for a work trip. I think she was actually in Italy, but she was in she was in Europe. I forget where exactly she was, and she was saying, she's like, I ate whatever I wanted out there, and she's like, I didn't feel bad at all. Like, if I would have eaten that bowl of pasta here, I would have been destroyed. She's like, it was just a totally different feel. And I'm like, man, like, you wonder, because you see a lot of Europeans and they're not obese like we are over here, and it's like, it's because a lot of that shit is outlawed, man. That the Red 5 and 40 and all that other stuff that's like just not healthy and not good for you. And
Yeah, that doesn't make you fat though, but yeah.
yeah, it's just giving you cancer.
Right.
It's like, do you want to be obese and get diabetes, or do you want to be fine but you get cancer? I mean, it's like, or both. I don't know.
But they all
you're
do
playing
that
this
while
weird
smoking
thing.
a cigarette.
True.
And we got maybe we'll die from something else. I mean, Francis, we got all of our power from nuclear power. So when one of those blows, we'll all die together.
You know what, man, and that's part of the reason why I like doing this podcast is because you get I've interviewed people all over the world, so I get to talk about just different cultures that I'm not familiar with. Like, you hear about it and you see stuff on the news, but like, I've interviewed people from Japan and the UK, and I don't know, I think I interviewed somebody from China, and like, you get to really kind of just get a feel for the whole world's view of things and not just this American view. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like to be outside the box of thinking, because if you're stuck in this box, then all we're going to be talking about is, in this world, it's all about division and politics and how those two interplay with each other. And it's like, we're all the same, we're all human. So, and the cool thing with art too is that everything that you see is subjective. So when you play into the human side of it, I could look at a piece, especially if it's abstract. You could look at the same piece and we both have two totally different views about what it is or what it does. And that might be a totally different view from the person that created the art, Like, no, you're both wrong, but that's cool.
Oh, dude, you totally hit onto the echo chamber or point of view. That is totally my shtick. I really get into that. It's like, grew up in one country and be in the other. Those are like two echo chambers. I'm always interested, like, where those things, two echo chambers, where do they intersect? Like, your worldview and my worldview, right? Right now we're in a space, right? Having this conversation, we're finding like where that intersection takes place. What are the things that we have maybe in common, but through the filter of our own personal experience, right? Of how we've experienced the world. But we're going to find some commonality. You say, you're in Philly. I've been to Philly. I haven't had one of those chili steak. What do you call them? Philly steaks. Cheesesteaks. Yeah. I look at them. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, they're delicious.
Sure that's
You
a
gotta
really
have
good
one. But you gotta avoid the tourist traps. You gotta go to a good place, like a hole.
A good place. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll be going. I'll be there. I'm going to be there in September, October for a couple of months, and I will definitely have one then.
you hit me up, man. We'll take you out to a good spot.
Okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to hear. Now we're intersecting. This is the intersection.
That's what we're here for, baby. To clog some arteries.
I'll be walking afterwards, though.
Dude, you go to South Street. They created, they called it the Philly pizza, and or the Philly taco. I'm sorry, and someone took I think it's Steve's. There's a place called Steve's on South Street. South Street's kind of like the spot you'd go, and they just have a ton of bars. They have a ton of. I mean, it's Philly's version of, kind of, it's not center city, so you're not like in the city, but you're walking around. There's like a comic book shop, there's bars, and I think one of the bars was like a place that Ben Franklin owned, and like it's kind of wild, but you're down there, and that's where everyone's walking up and down, and there's shops, there's little shops, there's stores, and there's a cheesesteak place called Steve's, and there's a pizza place, and I forget which pizza place it is, but they're giant, just regular cheese slices of pizza. And
someone Can we get a free one now that you mentioned it on the
I know, right? Listen, if you guys are listening to this, hook us up. But they took a giant piece of pizza and they put a cheesesteak in it, and they wrapped the slice of pizza around the cheesesteak. And I'm like, well, one, that's genius. That might be art. Probably is. But two, oh my God, you're probably eating 5,000 calories in one shot. So, but that's South Street, and that's Philly, man.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. But I'm coming with my Ziploc bag. It's not going to be good the next day. Or is it? No.
Oh, you could definitely heat up a cheesesteak. You could definitely heat up a cheesesteak, for sure.
Of course you can. You can heat up anything, but I mean, is it any good the next day?
It's not the same, because
it's
you got the
product,
grease,
isn't it?
The grease and the cheese are great when they're melty. When they're hard,
yeah, not so much.
Yeah, it's when you reheat, it's not the same because the bread is super fresh, and then you reheat, it's
So you come out of a bar, right? It's been, you had quite a few drinks and stuff. You go have one of these, and then it's cold. It's the winter, and it starts to get. What happens? I mean, do you finish it, or what happens? I mean, do you toss it on the side of the road, or do you hand it to a homeless person, or what do you do?
a lot of times we're not leaving the estate. Like if I'm gonna get a cheesesteak, I'm eating it in the cheesesteak place. So like Steve's
It's
has
that messy.
a second floor. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's not like you go. You don't take it with you. It's
a
not
slice
to
of
go.
pizza, like one of Lorenzo's slice of pizza, which is ginormous. You're good. You can walk around with that. That's an easy eat. And if it gets cold, I mean, cold pizza's great. But a cheesesteak, you got to pretty much eat it there because they're huge and they're messy.
Dang.
Depend on how you get it. Depend on how you get it too. I mean,
I'm
wit
acting
or
like
wit
this
out.
is like eating snails. I'm acting like this is like eating frog legs, which I have no problem eating. But this one, I'm like, oh, should I really? Probably like when Americans go to France, like I don't know if I eat those. I'll have one. I'll have one snail, right? But this is a commitment. It's big.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, and I've had escargot. I had it. I did it. And look, I'm not. I looked at it. I was on a cruise. I looked at it and I'm like,
on a cruise, that's dangerous.
I was like, I don't know if I want to eat that. That looks a little weird. But then it was in some like butter garlic sauce, and it actually was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's the
good.
butter and the garlic. That's what my daughter says. She likes the butter and the garlic. Dip the bread in it. I had a neighbor in the south of France. We had a ditch behind the house. It's kind of a natural environment. It's not like tons of products and chemicals down in this ditch. It's just an old ditch to drain the fields. And he'd go over there and he'd pick up snails, right? Pick up tons of snails. And then afterwards, you got to you leave them several days so that they can shit out all their goo and stuff and kind of cleanse, You got to starve them a little bit. And then you put some salt on them and then they froth up, right? They froth up and there's all this, it's just, it looks like a bubble bath, right, in the bucket, and then you got to take them out, and then he cooks them.
Interesting. So what's it taste like?
Well, it tastes like butter and garlic, doesn't it?
I don't know if I could catch snails and then cook them, man. I don't know if I could do it. But then again, I'm from the city, so I'm not catching and cooking anything that I'm fucking doing.
Which is kind of I'm gonna say this now, but what was weird is that the effluent from the septic tanks would go into that ditch actually. So there was quite a bit of animal life growing in there, and there were the snails too. So there was a little bit of that extra taste in it. Yeah.
Interesting.
The septic system worked so badly that there were tomato plants that were growing back in there only because you'd eat tomatoes and the seeds go through your system and they get through the septic tank that wasn't working too well, and then it'd be like this overflow going into the ditch, and then you'd have tomato plants.
Wow, that's actually kind of funny. That's kind of funny,
right? It's funny. It's gross, and when you think about eating the snails from that ditch, yeah, everybody's gonna remember that one.
Yeah, like someone shit out some tomato seeds and literally created their own plant, and they have no idea.
Yes. Yeah, right. Where do these tomato plants come from? Yeah, it's all about provenance, knowing where your food comes from. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I wish we had.
I'd rather know.
Yeah, I wish we had more of that. I think some of the smaller companies they've done a better job of that. But here in the U.S., they just throw that, it's organic on it, or they throw like the buzzwords, grass fed, and a lot of people don't realize that they're just like labels. Like grass fed, a lot of times it just means that the cows were just standing there and they were like literally pouring grass on them, and they weren't able to move. They're not like pasture raised cows, where they got to move around and live somewhat of a life before they were butchered, and this is coming from someone that loves meat. I fucking love meat. I'll never not eat meat, but those labels are a lot of it here anyway. It's bullshit. People don't realize it.
Well, they're not totally bullshit. I mean, it's just not maybe what you expect it to be, but it still follows that category, right? It better be.
True.
Yeah, True. It better be. I mean,
like they're eating grass. It's just they're
It's
fucking
not
not going anywhere.
They're,
It's
they're not in that beautiful field the way you imagine them, right? Eating in the pasture.
yeah.
But I live out here in the west. They're chewing up the national forest, in the first couple of years before they go to the grazing lots, uh, to the feed lots. The calves are out there having a great couple of first years until they get rounded up and brought over, get fattened out into a feed lot, stinky as hell, a mile down the road, and then off they go to the supermarket, after being slaughtered and cut up and everything. But I mean,
Yeah.
I like to know where my food's coming from. It's pretty important. It's really important in Europe, though. We get to know for a great part where the food comes from, and some of it doesn't even leave the county because it can't even pass the health regulations. One of my favorite goat cheeses I ever ate. Was not allowed to leave the county. The guy would sell it from the back of his car. It was full of flies. The thing that looked like it would move. It had little maggots and stuff. But you'd shave off the top, and all the sides, and get the maggots out. And then you would eat. They wouldn't get to the core. But damn, that was the best goat cheese I've ever had.
So what is goat cheese?
Oh,
like we eat goat. I've had goat cheese, but what is it made from? Like
goat,
what is it?
Goat
yeah,
milk.
but is it? So it's just goat milk.
It's just goat milk, and there's ewe milk as well, like for the sheep and stuff. I mean, it's pretty cool because when you go hiking out in the mountains and stuff, the shepherds are bringing up their flocks and going up in the mountains, and you're going and by August they're way up at the top of the mountains with their flocks, and then there's a festival when they come back down, back to be back in the village, and they bring back. All their flocks back down, and it's a bit of a celebration, which includes wine and cheese and bread and whatever product
the best
is available.
things for a party, man.
Right.
So
yeah, it's pretty special.
So you spent years as an art dealer,
Yeah, 17 years,
and you built a successful business. What was the moment, or maybe the realization for you that kind of pulled you towards using your art or using art in general as a healing tool rather than just for commerce?
Oh, well, that was after having a commerce, I would say. Yeah. I mean, just the creation of my own art and being able to, to sell it, that's healing in itself, for me as a person, and it feels good. And when you have this form of validation, when people are buying your artwork, that's healing. If there was any wounds, I mean, often it's just pouring out the wound onto the paper. It's always seen, it's there. It's I'm doing abstract pieces, so they're kind of instantaneous pieces coming out with all my emotions. They're not very studied, so it's kind of all out there on the paper. So I don't know if it was healing, that part. The money was, the money was, but also the appreciation people would have for it. Interesting enough, my wife was also an artist, so she'd have her pieces in there, and we had two different artist names, so people didn't know we were the artists, because people have this illusion or vision that they want to maintain of they see a piece of art and they imagine an artist. And if they saw me, they might, I did that a few times. They'd see me and go, "Oh, no, that's too bad." They didn't imagine me being that person. Half the time they were happy, half they weren't. 100% of the time, if they didn't know who the artist was, they could just imagine whoever they wanted it to be. But my wife would also paint, and she'd have her pieces. And at the end of each, we do shows, art shows. And we could tally who sold the most, right? Was it her or is it me? We had a little competition. And it was healing when I won.
Yeah. Oh, always is, yeah. Until the aftermath.
But most of the time I lost in these little competitions. But today, what I'm doing now, when you pull out the money aspect of it, and you don't care about who the client, if you want. There's no more client, and so they become participants in the artwork, right? It's the public. It's just somebody else. You're engaging with other people. Often, without them knowing they're creating the piece of art together, right? Kind of like I'm coming on your art show right here, like a podcast, and now we're participating and we're creating something together. That right there, that is 100% healing and transformative when you remove the fiduciary money aspect of it. It's not one of pride or ego. It's more of just an exploration, experimentation, and touching deep within yourself and touching, deep inside of others as well, and seeing what happens, the micro expressions in people's faces, and that's profound for me, and that's pretty cool. So the thousands of encounters I've had over the last 6 years have really made the artwork that I'm making now, which is, should I go for it? Should you have to talk a little bit about it? Right? It's about talking to strangers about politics in national parks, in free speech areas, right? Doing this project where you're doing the thing you're not supposed to do, just to talk to a stranger about politics, to ask them political questions, and then just listen to them and give them the space to just express what they have to say. And then maybe that person cries because they haven't had anybody that listened to them on such a sensitive issue, and it comes out. Or at other times you hear just the most racist thing you've ever heard, and then you're trying not to get triggered. And you're just, okay, I'm going to listen in, and then I'm going to tell the person that I disagree with everything they said, but they said they were angry. And I get to also tell them, you know what, I'm angry too. Maybe I'm angry now because of what you said, but I can create bridges and show people that they can create bridges with the other, especially in these times where things are super polarized, finding ways for us to bridge the political divide, not in fact or opinion, but on an emotional level to show our humanity. And so we don't shoot each other.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the whole point of why I created this podcast, was to be able to have conversations with people and make this podcast a safe space. Now, if someone comes on here and is blatantly a racist, that's an issue. But I mean, being able to disagree with somebody or have a disagreement, but be able to talk about it with each other like this. And I've definitely had disagreements with people on the show. And we talked through it, or we had things that we shared that we really enjoy, and then I end up talking to them about that for 45 minutes. So I've had polar opposite things happen, but I think it's important to be able to have a healthy discussion with somebody, whether you agree or not, because I come from a time, and maybe you do too, where we could kind of discuss things with each other, and we had polar opposite things that we believed in, but we could come into the middle and be like, all right, well, I understand what you're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. All right, boom. And you can walk away from that and not be angry at somebody just because they have a different view than you do.
Yeah. But we do less of that, don't we? I mean, we're a lot on our digital devices. We're getting, I was going to say entertained, but really we're distracted, right? We spend more time being distracted than we are connected to the other, especially to people that have different points of view than our own. I see that more and more and more. But I say more and more and more. I do see the younger crowd kind of pushing back, kind of like, I'm gonna take my phone. I'm just gonna go in a box, and I'm not gonna open it up, and I'm not gonna doom scroll, and I'm gonna read a book instead of doing movies on Netflix. What they probably haven't seen yet, they're going out to talk to people with different views. Like, I don't know, if somebody got a MAGA hat and they don't agree with MAGA, they don't go over and go talk to that person. Whereas I think that's a great opportunity. I was like, oh, that guy's got a MAGA hat, let's go talk. Or I'm in a national park, and there's a whole group of Mennonites coming to visit the Grand Canyon. It's like, oh, let me go talk to them, right? Not that I'm I have different points of view than theirs, and I want to show that let's have a little talk. Not only because it's distracting or entertaining, but to make that connection. That's my podcast. It's in vivo, live, offline, Yours is kind of like in between, right? It's offline because here we are face to face, in a sense, but we're still using technology to do so. I
And
just
I
use
can
my
edit it
technology.
too.
You can edit it, shit.
Yeah, you can't edit yours.
There's no editing
Kinda.
mine. There's no editing. I use technology. I drive to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I can't edit any of that. Nope. No, it's
I
like
interviewed a
full on.
guy. I interviewed a guy named Nicholas Adkins, is maybe a couple weeks ago, and he had a charity that he started that I thought was very unique. It was pink socks,
Oh yeah,
and
I
what
heard
he
that
would
episode. Yeah, I was listening.
yeah.
Tell me more about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty wild. They wanted to he wears kilts, and a friend of his talked him into wearing a kilt, and he said the moment he tried it on, he said he would never wear pants ever again.
Oh,
So
great.
when you're wearing a kilt,
Mhm.
he decided he wanted to have fun socks because other than that, you're
Yeah.
just gonna have black just
At this
or white
point.
socks, right? So he would buy these crazy socks, and that's what he would wear. And people would always ask him about it. So they were trying to raise money for a company they were starting, and they went to like this biggest healthcare conference to talk to people, and they decided to make a bunch of pink socks with mustaches on them, and they were handing them out to people. And when people, or they were also wearing them, so when people would ask them, they'd say, "Oh, here's a pair." And they're like, "Well, why would you hear it?" It would start a conversation. So he created a charity, and it's around the pink socks, and it's a mustache and a puzzle piece. Is what's
Puzzle
on
piece.
it. So what they would do is the whole thing is, and I think it's from Burning Man, because he went to Burning Man for like 10 years. And with Burning Man, there is no currency. The currency is kind of you and what you have on you, and like you don't pay money for things when you're there. And they had these rules that were like basic human rights rules, like don't be a dick, like is one of the rules. And so he kind of took that, and he took the pink socks, and now he carries pink socks with him, and he also wears them. And it would start a conversation where they would go, "Hey, what are those socks? Those are pretty cool socks." And he said that he would start saying, "Well, hey, how are you today? What's your name? My name's Nick." And it would start this conversation. He goes, here's a pair of socks. These are for you. And I'm also going to give you another pair, and I want you to take this pair. And if someone sees you
Pass it
with
on.
these pink socks on, pass it on. And he started a charity that way. And I thought it was so unique and cool because I think a lot of us have gone away from starting conversations with random people and building just rapport with other humans. We're so used to doom scrolling or texting on our phones. I mean, a lot of us, myself majorly included, would rather text than be on the phone sometimes. And, that's not how we're wired as humans, right?
But that's I think that's a really important point. It's what I call a gimmick, or it's the tool, right? It's the excuse to have to invite the other to communicate, right? So how do you do that with a stranger, right? So he has the socks, right? I have 3 non-confrontational political questions, right? I also sometimes use a mic, right? I might not even be on. It's the excuse, like, okay, we're having a relationship. We know that in a mic it's going to be an interview. It's also like the table set between 2 people in a conversation. It creates a certain area of space, and the space of security, right? And how do we communicate with somebody, that a stranger, without a pretext? Now, if we're at a bar, it's a person next to us. We have, there's a cultural framework where we can talk to the person next to us, because that's the space where you do that, right? Hopefully, it
Yeah.
still is, right? But where are these spaces, right? Now in Philly, you might have quite a few, because it might happen in the line where you're going to go get a slice of pizza or something, right? But if the tourists are in line to go to the museum or something, in line, why aren't they talking to the neighbor beyond the weather, or just the chit chat? I mean, something profound, right? If we have the opportunity to have the conversation, I kind of object to the fact that just having chit chat, it's a limited amount of time. Why don't we do something more profound, something more to the meaning of our very existence, right? To use that to elevate the conversation to another level, right? Here's the socks are about creating a community, and it's about compassion for others. It's about love and all this stuff, right? When you're talking about the weather, yeah, sure, maybe you're creating a little bit a feel good moment. It's a little bit too rosy for me. I like the grittiness in the food, right? I'd rather have a little bit more taste than the blandness of what comes out of the supermarket, right? I want
Yeah.
something that has more taste in it, and the conversations that have more taste in it. Now, I'm not saying that they should be like the snails, to know exactly where they're from, but it is good to know, and so that's what I'm talking about. Is the flavor of things. I think this is the way I see it. Man, we should use all our senses, right? When we're having conversations, we use the auditory and the visual. That's it, But how about touch? Now, I'm not asking people to go touch one another, but I was last couple of years. I've been going to hike in the winter. I go up to North Africa and go hike in Morocco, and the guys we were like, hey, we hold hands. Like that's something you do. There's much more physical and talk. We might not. We might be looking out at the scenery without talking to one another because I go in this area in the pre-Sahara, in the mountains before the Sahara, and we don't understand each other. But we'll hold each other's hand and we'll look out to the view and chill out, and we're together. We're having a conversation, right? That's tactile. Also, people talk to each other a lot closer, so the smell is important. You can smell what they ate. All right, they're having this proximity. There's a study of proximity called proxemics, and it's about the distance, the cultural distance that people have between one another when they feel comfortable or uncomfortable. And for example, in North Africa, they're comfortable with being close to one another, and in the U.S., it's the distance is much further. It's like
Oh yeah.
3 feet away, And if you go to Australia, it could be up to 5 feet. That's the comfort zone. You walk into that space, you come into personal space, when you say personal space. So that's important in communication, right? And it was the smell, right? And also, taste as well. And I use taste in as an important tool as well, but more of a abstract one where I ask people. I talk to all these people, I ask them the same 3 questions all the time. And after the 3 questions, I ask them to give me one word that brings it all together. That's the hardest one. One word brings it all together. And they might say, remind you I'm talking politics or whatever. So they'll say the word is corruption, the word is cohesion, the word is hope, or whatever it is. And I take those words and I ask other people, another group of people, to tell me take the same words, these hundreds of words that I've accumulated over the years, and one after another chronologically, I have other people that I meet tell me what that word that I come up with from that list. So let's say it's cohesion. What does cohesion taste like? What does freedom taste like? Some people, the word is shit show. So I say, well, what does that taste like? And that disruption, right, is a way that we can also use for an abstract way also in communication for getting straight to something quite deep. If you start, then people might think you're crazy, but if you get them in the right place, in the right space, and you use that, you get straight into this zone, this artistic, almost philosophical zone where you're getting deep into things. I invite everybody there to try that out. If they got, if somebody says something awkward, and then you just say, well, what does that word taste like? And you're going to get somewhere. You'll be like, what?
That's
They'll
a
say,
unique.
what do you mean? And then from there, you're sure you're going to go somewhere deep right
Yeah,
away.
that's a
You don't.
unique way of looking at it. When I was interviewing Nick, he said something that was along those lines, in that when he walks up to someone or a stranger that he's never talked to before, instead of saying it's nice to meet you, he said you should try to say something like, it's nice to see you.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah.
and a lot of people, because a lot of people feel unseen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because when you say it's nice to meet you, that's what everyone says, right? But when you say it's nice to see you, it almost unlocks something in people that otherwise wouldn't be unlocked, by just saying the normal greeting or whatever. But it's cool to think about that, right? It's just all of these different ways we communicate, but there's just ways you can communicate outside the box.
Let's tweak it.
And and I think that's important. I mean, look, I talk. The wifey's behind the green screen back here, so she's probably gonna laugh at me. But I'm a talker, and I like to probably talk way too much and meet new people. It's sometimes it's at the detriment of my time. I was at the DMV last week because in Pennsylvania they required you all to get a real ID here, and I don't know if it was national or whatever. Maybe it was a select number of states, whatever the fuck it was. I changed my I did some things, and I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll just go finally do it. So I went in. You think of the DMV, you think you're going to be sitting there for a while, right? So go up, give the guy my stuff, and he's like, all right, sit down, they'll call your number. I was sitting there for like 5-6 minutes, and I got called up, and I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be a quick trip. Sit down, and I don't know if he's going to find this or listen to it at some point, but I sat down in front of Fred, who's an older DMV guy. He was a little curt in the beginning, right? He was like, because he's probably used to people who just sit down, give him his stuff and bounce, or they're a dick to him. And I worked retail for a long time in my life, not now, but I try to be nice to everybody because I know what it was like when you're talked down to, when people treat you like shit. So I try not to do that whenever I'm out. And so before I leave, so I'm talking to Fred, and mind you, there's a room full of people. Now the room's even more packed. I probably talked to Fred for 40 minutes.
Get out of here.
And I know everything about Fred. I know about his grandparents. I know about his great-grandparents that were fighting Nazis. I know about his brother-in-law and his sister-in-law and his sister and his brothers and nieces and nephews. I know that he's going to retire in 2 months. I know all of that shit. And I just let him talk. One thing for me, it's just sometimes people just need to talk. So I just let him talk, man. And I interjected a couple times, but I let him just talk, and he just kept going. And I'm like, all right, I should probably get back to work at some point. And then eventually it died down, and I was like, hey, man, congrats on retiring on your terms. Not everybody gets to do that, and have fun in retirement, man. Crack a beer. We were laughing, and I was like, you have a great day. And then I had to go get my picture taken, which I was like, oh, great. So that's going to add time, but it wasn't too bad. But I laughed because how many people would do that? You finally you run through a DMV, you're quick. And then little did I know I was going to meet this guy and know all about his life in 40 minutes, But I think more people did that.
You were there. You listened. You gave him that space.
I think
unless he does that every freaking day.
I hope he does. I don't know if he's retiring because he's not the most productive DMV worker. I don't know. If you're listening to this, Fred, you'll have to let me know. But I think if more people did that, you'd also probably understand what other people are going through, because some people just maybe that was my initial impression, was he looked miserable. And then I walk away and I'm like his best friend, So maybe more people just talk to Fred a little more.
I vacillate with that. Some people look for just an ear so they can just go on and on and on about whatever. I like to ask questions, so at least it could stay on a subject I might be interested in, or I might, be a participant in the conversation. And some people just have something that they just need to say and just go on and on and on and on, and you don't want to hear it. That I find profoundly annoying, I gotta tell you. Yeah. But I do hear what you did there is that act of kindness, and also because it was fun, and hey, what the heck, if it was a good story, then that's worth listening to.
Oh, dude, he was telling me about how his ancestors were and they were in Europe, and they were rounding up Nazis and fucking killing Nazis, and then they ended up getting rounded up, and they put them in a firing line, and they got killed. And I was like, holy shit, man. Well, that's a pretty full cut. I love shit about World War II and all the craziness, and I was just like, what are the odds I would know all of this about Fred at the DMV? Shout out to Fred.
Oh man. Well, I like how you presented it. It did touch a little bit of a nerve, like a trigger for me when it comes to conversations where people just go on and on and on. But this wasn't the case, so that's cool.
Yeah. Now, I know we're hitting that point here, but tell me real quick and tell my listeners, because they might not know what is abstract art? And obviously abstract art can be a lot of things. In your point of view, what is it? And what does it unlock in people? Because it's a representational style of art, right? Like you're kind of presenting an idea that's might be different in because when you think of art, right, most people think of a painting on the wall.
Yeah, sure. Well, when we were talking about the taste of a word, that's abstract. It's as simple as that. So you can extrapolate that type of association. It's not just making any type of association, but that's abstract in itself. So that applies to sculpture, to poetry, to performance pieces, to theater, to all different kinds. To me, and we all have personal views.
I'm not sure if you can hear
it's a direct
me,
path.
You went black
To
here.
another.
Oh.
Yeah, you there? You there?
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. Good cut out for a sec. Yeah, abstract is like a doorway that you don't necessarily see, but has like an epiphany that comes with it, where you have a realization with the experience of the piece that takes you somewhere else very quickly, not into a landscape or anything like that, but takes you into a thought, into an area, space of your mind where you weren't before or that you forgot. And they're the mechanisms. Abstract art are the mechanisms that take you there.
Do you have a favorite thing, a favorite piece that you've done?
Yeah, so there's one I really that was really cool. I'm on the Grand Canyon, on the Grand Canyon rim. The park very kindly got me this amphitheater for a couple hundred people overlooking the, not that it was full, but it's overlooking the canyon rim there. And I brought a box on a museum stand, a plexiglass box, just like you see in a museum on a black stand. And inside of that box, I put a sculpture. I had lots of different things to put in it. Just any old thing would have done. And people came up and wondered what the heck this thing was. And I'd come down from the steps, from the seating. They didn't know I was the artist. I could hear what they had to say. I'd come up and I'd say, "Hey, what do you think that is?" And they'd say, "I have no fucking clue." I said, "Well, that in there, that's that piece of artwork in there is a representation of me. It's a representation of you. It's a representation of somebody. And I'm not too concerned about that. My piece is the glass case that's around it, right? And this is abstract, right? It's the glass piece around it. Like, what? What do you mean the glass piece around? It's like, well, it's plexiglass actually, so it doesn't break and shatter and all this stuff."
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that right there that represents to me like our worldview, the echo chamber that you were talking about earlier. That's what it represents. And my question is, if you're in there, if you're that statue inside, if I'm that statue inside, I'm looking out. I think my worldview is so expansive, but it's actually quite limited, right, by the box. It's much smaller than I think it is. And in my hand, I have a little spice jar, glass spice jar, and I have a little statue in it. And I say, look at this one. This is even a smaller echo chamber. And I asked them, so how does this one that I'm holding in my hand enter the one in the box, the one in the museum case here with it? How does it get in? Or should it? And then you can see people go, "Oh, should I? What? I have an echo chamber. I have a point of view. What? I have a worldview, and it's smaller." All these things happen in a very short amount of time. So a door opens, not every time for sure, but for a lot of people, it's like immediately that entrance takes place, and now we're thinking about echo chambers, points of view, the intersection of those two points of view, like you and I did today. Right?
Yeah.
Where does that intersection take place? That was a very powerful moment with a lot of people that never would have been exposed probably by this type of art, that got to see that and have an experience. And we had very deep conversations just right there on the spot. Within just a matter of seconds, we were in a deep area, not looking at each other's eyes. We were looking off in the distance and sharing deep, deep, deep aspects of themselves to me, and back and forth. That connection is worth a lot to me. That's better than all the paintings I've ever sold. That
is actually really, really good. I love that. That's like such a good conversational piece. Let's end on this.
Yeah.
I think this would be important if I didn't ask you about this. So you've had thousands of these encounters, right? You dealt with thousands of people. What have you come to believe about human beings that you didn't believe before you started doing this?
That's constantly evolving, and right now there's so many things that went through my head. I don't have a direct answer. That one you're going to have to bring out an art installation for me to open that door really quickly, because that question didn't do it.
Okay, all right. Hey, look, you're an artist. I wouldn't expect the words, man. I would expect the visuals at least, right, or something along those lines.
Yeah, that one hasn't happened to me yet.
Well, look, I expect to see or hear of a really cool exhibit that some random podcaster gave to you on a podcast.
That'll happen.
Well, look, man, it was such a pleasure chatting with you, dude. Tell my listeners, plug away. Where can they find your stuff? You got anything coming up that you want to invite people to? Hit them hard.
Well, I'm going to say that what we did today, right now, that we just experienced one of the pieces together. So you don't have to really look much further than what we did right here, and what you listened to without even knowing it. Hopefully some doors are open. I'd love to hear their comments as well, and open some doors for me. And for that, they can either go to a YouTube channel in the digital world and go to Triptych Dialogue, TRIP, like a trip, TYCH, Triptych Dialogue, DIALOGUE. Type that in YouTube. You can send me a comment through there, or you can go by the same name, triptychdialogue.com, and go to my website and contact me through there, and just see all different stuff I'm putting up on there all the time.
Awesome, man.
And I'm
hopefully
go
no
to
dicks.
Philadelphia, and I'm going to install some things in your town, actually. I'm going to be there for 2 months. I'm going to go do stuff around the Liberty Bell and all that stuff in all the free speech areas that you guys got over there for a couple of months. So there'd be like half a dozen installations in that area for was that fall?
Yeah. Hey, make sure you fill me in. I'd love to see some of your stuff, man.
Well, I want to see where that place Steve's is, or whatever it was. Yeah.
It's South Street. South Street's one of the better places to go because you can get a real feel for Philly down in South Street.
All right, man.
Dalessandro's is the best cheesesteak place. Now, they're not on South Street. They're kind of a little outside the city, but they have the best cheesesteaks in the city. So you write that down if you're going to be coming down.
Is that on a wedge? Is that on a triangular wedge?
It is.
Like
it is.
I think I've been there. Yeah, and there's a seating outside. Mostly wraps around.
And there's always a line. There's always a line. Yeah. Dalessandro's has the best cheesesteaks, hands down, and I haven't had it in a while. And now I'm like, I can feel my mouth salivating for a cheesesteak. But hey, look, my podcast is Drink O'Clock Pod on all socials. Drink O'Clock Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And it was a pleasure having you on, man. Let's do this again soon.
All right, man. Let's do it.
Have a great
Thanks,
night, man.
You too.
On a stormy night where legends unfold, there's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's fly. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, with a mix of folklore and rebel cheer. Here we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer, from Irish shores to lands afar. Grab your friends, it's time to